guys, good evening and welcome to richardgaray.com. My name is Richard Garay and we are excited to come live for you guys today again on a very late Wednesday evening. It is still Wednesday, so we're still going to work in a project on this Work It Wednesday. But let's go ahead and get right to it and switch over to that top view. I've got some basic layers of cardstock that I've just cut real quick. I've got Tangy Gum as my card base. I also have Tangy Orange as one of my original layers. And then I've got a layer of powdered sugar. So I'm going to create a very, very basic card. I thought I would just grab a few pieces here because I didn't want to leave you guys hanging on this Thursday. And so I've got media mixer that I'm using, and it's designed to create acrylic paints out of any of our sugar drops or sugar colors. But in this case, we're using it almost as a gesso on our projects, and I love it better than a gesso simply because once I add my colors to it, it really becomes very, very vibrant because it's designed to work well with all of our media mix, our sugar drops, and it creates that fun piece. So I've got this background set here, and I've got one that's already been prepped and dried, just real quick. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of my clear blocks and using the similar color sugar drops, maybe adding a couple here or there. I'm going to stay within my tangies. And I'm going to bring in some Tangy Apple, which I just had here the other day. Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring in some Tangy Apple just to bring in some green into that space. And I'm going to go ahead and grab, let's see, just looking to see, we've got the Tangy Orange, Tangy Apple. We also definitely want our Tangy Gum. And I know most of our regular viewers are probably sleeping right now because you're on the other side of the U.S.
In the East Coast.
And I don't know where
What are you looking for?
my Tangy Gum sugar drop, which does not seem to be there.
It's like I didn't know I was gonna work today.
Okay, let me go find it.
Yeah, and then maybe Tangy Berry, because clearly that's not the either. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with these two colors. We've got a little bit of Tangy Orange and some Tangy Apple. We have to start with two colors anyway. And we're going to add some water to both of those. We're going to almost like watercolor our background here a little bit. I'm going to grab a thicker brush. Not necessarily a splattering brush, but a thicker brush, and I'm going to mist my pre-painted cardstock. This one had the media mixer in the background, so I basically want to add 4 different colors on the 4 corners of this page. What? Okay, so we're bringing in colors here. And we want to let those dry.
Did you put Tangy Berry or
No, not yet. And we're going to now grab our Tangy Gum. I don't necessarily want the colors to mix. I just want them to sit right on top of my cardstock. And notice, like I said, how the media mixer serves as a gesso. So what we're going to do is we're going to dry this up. Try not to mix those colors because we don't want them to turn into mud. We just want them to stay within that space. And if you have an excess of color, simply push it out. Just pushing out that color. Make sure I don't have any real color bumps. Great. So now we've got those two colors. We're going to come back, spritz water on both our tangy gut berry and our tangy gum. And now we're going to bring in that blue. And remember, because we spritz it, we've reactivated the color. So just be careful not to oversaturate within that space, but it's okay if it runs into those colors. So we want that to happen because it looks more natural. It has a better flow. We're going to clean that up a little bit. And now I'm going to bring in my tangy berry. Red is very overpowering, guys, so a little bit will go a long way. But same thing, we want it to run within that space. And because we dried the two colors first, they're not fusing together to create mud, right? So now these two are the only ones who are really active. And we've got slight movement within our tangy apple and tangy orange. So we do want that cool vibe that this is going to create. I'm just working with the colors a little bit here. And I definitely grabbed way too much sugar drops. But that's okay. I know where I can get some more. It's right on the heart. All right, so we want that to dry. Ideally, you would want to let it dry on its own. You're going to get the coolest effect if you let it dry on its own. But because we don't have that kind of time, we're going to help speed up the process while trying to be careful that we want to keep that cool effect, right? So because we want to keep it, we're going to manipulate the color movement a little bit. At this point, we're pretty secure that we're not going to get too much variations when it comes to color. And we're really just trying to dry our ink all the way through. Check. All right, so what we want to do next is we're going to clear off our surface here. I love my grit sheet. I don't know what I would do without it. I tend to be pretty messy, so this is right up my alley, yeah.
Right. Everything lifesaver.
Yeah, no kidding. And start from scratch. All right. So here we go. We're gonna bring in our stamparatus because we're going to stamp our background. So I'm placing that direct. And I'm going to be using these two oldie spaghettis. I'm going to be using Floral Escape, and I'm also going to be using Yay Greetings. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to bring in that Floral Escape. I'm going to lose quite a bit of this color, but I just want to create a fun-filled background here. So I'm going to grab this, and using my simple syrup, I'm going to go ahead and ink it up using simple syrup. Simple syrup is a clear pigment, so it's very sticky. And it's perfect for the embossing powder. Probably going to go ahead and ink that up twice. Make sure that it's nice and saturated. And actually, can we do a volume check, guys? We definitely want to make sure that you guys can hear us. loud and clear, and we just want to make sure that everybody can do that. All right, so we're going to pick up our background here. And while it's nice and fresh and wet, we're going to go ahead and bring in some of our powdered sugar embossing powder. We want the white to pop through all that amazing background. And I'm not using an embossing buddy. So because of the various different inks that we have on there and where it was wetter, we're going to have bigger blotches of embossing powder, but I'm okay with that because ultimately I still have to bring back and add my sentiment. So I'll show you what that'll look like here in a minute. So let's go ahead and cook that up. Now, if you wanted a very clean embossing, then you can simply just use an embossing buddy or a dryer sheet to remove the static from the paper being inked and work with. But I love the texture that it creates. I was actually hoping for a little bit more, but that's all right.
And Andrea says, I can hear you, but the intro music is always so much louder than your voice.
Got it. We will definitely work on that because we've had a couple of different concerns. I guess I'm just a little bit more soft-spoken than I thought. But we definitely have to figure out how to raise the volume on the actual mic. So we will figure that out, guys. You'd think by now we would have it down. It's been 3 years.
Well, we do keep changing the mics though, but yeah. It doesn't seem to... We don't seem to get it right on the
money.
All right, so we're going to put our beautiful background stamp away. This one's called Floral Escape, which I absolutely love. Now we're going to grab a piece of our tangy gum and our sentiments. Now you can choose any sentiment you like. I'm going to use Many Thanks. I love the font and the size of these stamps. It was actually one of the original ones we released. So same thing here. We're going to go ahead and emboss in white. So I'm going to go ink up using simple syrup. We're going to go ahead and make sure it's nice and saturated. Remove that from our panel. We're not going to be stamping anymore, so feel free to close down your stamp positioner. And we're going to bring back our powdered sugar.
Andrea says, these lives always inspire me to use my media mixer.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing when you use it in that context. I think that you will have much more success. Next week, though, I'm preparing to go a little more psycho killer. Definitely more mixed media in the mix. So don't be scared. I think it'll be fun just to kind of play. We'll definitely get our hands inky. And such, but it'll be fun. I've got several different ideas. All right, so we'll let that cool off a little bit. This one should be nice and cool. When in doubt,
pop it out.
Pop it out. We're gonna pop this guy out. And it's just gonna look so amazing with the various different color pops. I love all of the additional embossing powder on my project. I'm adding an additional foam in the center mainly because it's been worked quite a bit, so I want to flatten it out as much as I possibly can on my project. And then look how fun that background looks already. Just
So
the various
pretty.
different colors, and the floral background looks so, so amazing. And we're gonna bring in our many thanks right into that space. So I'm gonna trim this down a little bit more. I want to see some more of that texture. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring in my paper trimmer. Doesn't help that I'm speaking to the floor, by the way. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my paper trimmer. Yeah, it should be. As long as it's cool. Because if not, if it's still melting or melted,
You'll dent it.
I'll smear it. It also burns, actually,
It does burn.
if you touch it while it's melted.
Yeah.
All right, this one's a little off, just a smidgen, so I'm just gonna. Sweet. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pop that guy out. I am gonna add just a little bit of twine because
Of course you are.
I feel weird if I don't. I feel like
Like it's another RG project.
it's not my project. Somebody else made this clearly. All right, so we're gonna bring in that twine, and I'm gonna place this right in the center because I love seeing that texture. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my foam squares first just to make sure that I'm fastening down my twine. Then I'm gonna bring in my sentiment. So super easy project to make, I think, and you'll definitely get a lot of oohs and ahs from this showcase because it's not a card that is easily found anywhere else, right? It's totally artsy and it's got a lot of pop. And it's got a lot of feeling, and I'm gonna trim this down just a little bit. I want it off of the grid, but not totally into the edge of my card base. So just enough. Same thing on this side. Just enough. So cool. And now, of course, we're going to bring in some white splattering to tie our whole project together. And then, of course, Dazzling Pat will add the finishing touches. So just bring in some more of that white splatter, especially around your sentiment. It just helps tie that in. And we're going to bring in Dazzling Pat in our clear. Actually, we could also bring it in, I think, some Sour Mist on here will be amazing. It'll look more magical and dreamy, especially on the darker cardstock. And now we're clear. So I hope you found that easy, guys, and very, very much recreatable. It was super easy to do. I think the media mixer just makes it easy to work the color in without having to use watercolor paper. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit and move my project so you can see a little bit more of the finer detail of the embossing. So you see the blooms in the background, you see the colors popping through. It looks artful, it looks amazing. You could even add some rhinestones if you wish. But it really just helps pop out those various different colors, and it's just such a fun card to be able to create and play with. Guys, I hope you're inspired. I can't wait to see what type of projects you're going to create just using this fun technique and the various different sugar drops that you already have, the media mixer, and just playing with water and playing with colors and fusing them all together, blending them all together. I love backgrounds because of this, which is why I design a lot of background stamps, because it really lets me be creative and bring paper to life in amazing ways. So I hope that you get that chance, you get inspired, you get into your crafty space and make amazing happen. We'll catch you guys next Wednesday. And stay tuned, we're going to be announcing some free workshops coming up later on this month. And more Facebook Lives on our regular Facebook channel. We are going to move the time back a little bit. We were having them at 2 p.m. Arizona time, but we're probably going to push that back closer to 4:30 on our Facebook channels. But we'll definitely keep you guys posted. Make sure that you follow us on our social media channels, as well as that you're subscribed to this channel, and share us with your creative community. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time. Adios.